Hey bitches, what's up? It's Michelle and welcome back to my channel. I just wanna, ease y'all's minds and just talk about how I got my internships or what my internship experiences were like at several animation studios, but just totally make it a relaxing video to just talk about it and just make it just casual ass pillow talk, because let me tell y'all, getting an internship in animation ain't fucking easy, okay? Like, sometimes it breaks you, sometimes it makes you, and I'm just making this video to make sure that it doesn't break y'all, I guess. I really don't know why the fuck I'm doing this shit. Okay, but for real, I actually want to have a casual conversation about my internship experiences at the different internships I had throughout my time at CalArts. And I just really want to talk about just how I felt and how I grew through these experiences. Because, I feel like whenever you listen to people talk about their journeys from little kid to a professional animator or artist, you mostly hear about the times when they were a kid to the times when they're already like a professional artist, and they kind of like just skim through the middle and just kind of quickly walk through it. I feel like I just want to talk about what I actually felt in the middle, like the actual journey itself and like the different obstacles and struggles faced, because being in this industry is not that much different than being a normal person living their lives. So yeah, because I know when I was little, I used to overly idolize people in animation, like they were celebrities to me, and not saying that they're like any lesser now, but I do see everybody in a more human way, which I think is more of a proper way to view people rather than like objectifying them as some god. So before I get started with the animation internships I got before I even entered the animation internship world, I was actually interning at a fashion company called DKNY. That was one of the first internships I got right after I got out of high school, and I also interned there again after my first year of CalArts because I couldn't find anything that was like really like animation related in New York, but New York obviously has a very huge fashion scene going on in the city. So I decided to first just take on this internship that basically would just give me some work experience and just some experience in a professional environment while still making art, because I was drawing patterns and designs, but I wasn't necessarily animating characters because
This is fashion, bitches, so
I just wasn't exactly the happiest there, but I knew that I was there for the future. Like, being at this company was an investment for my future in terms of just like learning to communicate with people at work, just getting paid so I can eventually support myself, and just learning to be in that environment where you're working professionally with other artists. I wanted to stay open-minded, and I didn't want to close any like doors to things and just end up sitting in my room for the whole summer, because that's what I would have been doing if I didn't take on like any type of internship, even if it was not animation related. So first I got that internship, and then after that, during my second year of CalArts, I got my internship at Cartoon Network, in which I just applied online and they eventually just saw my application. But one thing that did help me with my internship at Cartoon Network was actually the internship I did at DKNY, because not to scare y'all, but I don't know if they still do this now, but there are some studios that do a video interview with you where you have to record yourself answering these questions, not like a Skype interview. So it's kind of like me recording this video right now. So they would just ask me to record my answers to these questions, and I would talk about my experience at DKNY, because that was really the only working experience I had. Even though it was not animation related, I did my best to just be like, okay, look, even if it wasn't animation, I still really learned what it was like to work with a team and collab with art and all of that shenanigans. So yeah, they saw that, and then at my interview, my in-person interview, they were actually just like, hey, we saw that you interned at DKNY, and we think that it's great that even though like it's not animation, you're still open to doing things that might help you grow in other areas. So I think that's always a good thing whenever you apply to internships. It's not be too close-minded about everything, because first of all, it's an internship. It's temporary. It's not going to exactly like close the doors on you in which this is your job forever, this is your fucking life for the rest of your life or anything like that. It's not. And it's better to kind of experiment while you're an intern. But I guess like if you do know that you want to become like a storyboard artist, if you do know you want to become a CG animator, of course you want to aim to have internships that will eventually lead you in that direction. But for my specific path, I've never had any storyboarding internships ever in my life. Yet I still became a storyboard artist. But if I did have the chance to get like storyboarding internships, I would have taken those chances. But if you don't have anything else lined up for you in those moments in life, and you can only get these other internships that are still in animation but not necessarily specify towards your storyboarding thing, I would just say still go for it. Stay open to get whatever you want. But that's what I got out of my first initial reaction to my Cartoon Network experience, I guess. It was just, okay, cool to know that my past experiences weren't just there for nothing. After I got my internship, I had to find a place to live in Burbank, California, because that's where a lot of the studios are. And it was very difficult for me to find an apartment in Burbank, California that would allow me to just stay there for 3 months, because the internship is only 3 months long. Also, fun fact, the internship was only 2 days out of the week for me, so I only went into the studio 2 days out of the week because there was another intern for the other 2 days of the week, and we would just alternate. So they would just have me go in for 2 days, and it kind of like felt like my time was kind of just a waste here, but at the same time it's just like I need this opportunity. So I was willing to invest in my time at that internship. So my parents helped me find this apartment in the area that actually allowed me to lease it for like 2 to 3 months, which God bless them. God bless my parents to this day. I am grateful for them because obviously I can't fucking pay for an apartment by myself as a person who just like started college and just graduated from high school and has not had much working experience under my belt to gain that money to pay for my place. Obviously there's also Airbnbs and like things like that, but my parents and I don't really feel comfortable or safe with those things just because of past experiences. But I would be okay with staying at an Airbnb if I had a friend, but if it was by myself, I'm a little sketched out by that shit, okay? So we were able to get this apartment that I stayed in, and then 2 days out of the week I would go into the studio and just help out, and then the rest of the time here I was pretty much just working on my own projects, exploring LA, and also working on a pitch Bible, because towards the end of my internship at Cartoon Network, they allowed you to pitch your own show idea. That's kind of just like a practice show pitch idea, which really isn't like, oh, we're gonna actually invest in your show idea, unless if it was like truly that amazing. But honestly, whatever I pitched was probably just like mediocre. So the internship I had at Cartoon Network was not a storyboarding internship. It was actually a production internship, which is kind of a very standard entry internship position for people who just want to get into animation first. So as a production intern, you don't actually produce artwork to contribute to the show. You're just kind of there to help out the producers, the production assistants, or just people that are managing the show, and you're not drawing and you're not really truly being creative. The only thing I would say I was really being creative in was just the whole pitch Bible creation, which was honestly really fun for me. But for the most part, during my time at work, I would just be like helping people with their time cards. I would be helping conform scripts to animatics, which was cool because I got to see episodes ahead of time. I got to sit into voice recording sessions, which was also really cool to see voice actors acting and everything. And I also just pretty much just helped with anything else that the producers needed with like files, documents, blah blah blah, like things like that. But something that really paralyzed me was something known as Imposter Syndrome. And for those of you who don't know what Imposter Syndrome is, it's kind of a feeling that you get where you just feel guilty, or just you feel like you don't really belong there, like at the studio that you're at, or whatever job you're at, you get this feeling of guilt that you're just like, oh, I kind of feel like I don't deserve to be here, or I'm not doing something right, or people are just judging me and thinking that I'm just doing nothing and I'm just like being useless. And it's really just your inner self talking to you, because at the end of the day, everybody else got their own jobs to do. Everybody's focusing on their actual assignments, and they're not really thinking about,
oh, look at this dumb intern just like sitting there and twiddling her thumbs.
like, yeah, you get a lot of downtime as an intern, but people know that you're here to just learn, expose yourself, and you're not like someone who really has a heavy responsibility yet, like as an intern, because you're there to just feel yourself out in the studio, okay? Which I will also say I regret not fully having taken advantage of, because that's one of the things that imposter syndrome kind of does to you, is that it kind of like makes you feel like you don't deserve to talk to anyone, or everyone's too good for you to talk to. I would talk to people from time to time, but it was very difficult for me to be that person to talk to like a new person every day. Like, it was something that was still very new to me, and I like fought with myself inside my head over that shit all the time. I really struggled with that shit, but I really focused on my pitch Bible for the end of the internship to kind of just have that opportunity to at least showcase my skills and show people what I can actually do, in which I feel like I didn't really get the full potential to do during the internship itself, because again, you don't really get to contribute your artwork or do anything, because that's just what it is as a production intern. And I just really wanted to work on this pitch Bible so hard, just to show people that like, hey, even though you only just saw me as this girl delivering papers around at the studio, I am also this person who has the ability to just project my voice in this form of art or story that I'm about to present to you. So that's what I pretty much did during my downtime at the internship. I was just working on my pitch Bible, and you would sometimes just meet up with the other interns and just like discuss your ideas with them. And it was a lot easier talking to the other interns, I would say, just because they're more people of your same age range, and they're people that you can relate to a lot easier, instead of these veterans in which they are amazing, but at the same time it gets really intimidating just to like have a casual conversation with them during your first internship. So you're trying to balance out like, ooh, when do I talk to someone and when do I just like leave them alone, because I want to do my best and take advantage of my time here, but I also don't want bitches to fucking hate me, so but yeah. So towards the end of my internship at Cartoon Network was when I actually started to really prepare for my pitch, because I have never ever in my life at that moment in time pitched to professionals in an animation studio. I've pitched to my classmates, I've pitched to my teachers, but I've never pitched in a work environment where these people have the potential to hire me someday. So that was kind of really scary, but I did my best to prepare as much as possible. So basically a pitch Bible is kind of just a little book or pamphlet that you make that kind of walks through your show idea, or just the concept that you have in your mind. So you were able to pitch like a show idea, you could pitch a merchandise idea, you could pitch whatever you want, but if I'm an animator, I'm pitching a fucking show idea. And I would also rehearse the pitch itself with my friends, because, you know, girl, I was struggling with my public speaking, because, you know, if it was already difficult for me to just talk to people, imagine how I felt just knowing, okay, I'm about to talk to like 50 of them right in front of me for the first time with my naked ass idea, like just there. I felt like that was one of the biggest growth points for me during that internship. Basically, when you pitch, you kind of just have to speak very clearly and showcase your idea, but the point is you really want to be clear and concise and tell a story while you pitch, so you have to entertain while being clear at the same time. So basically what I would do is I would Skype my friends back in New York, and I would literally just rehearse in front of them, because public speaking during that time was just such a fucking struggle for me. So I needed somebody to listen to me and just tell me, hey, what do I need to fix with my public speaking? Even though you guys are not necessarily animators, you know like what you don't like sitting through when you're hearing somebody talk. So I had them just listen to me perform or just practice my pitch, and I would rehearse like literally every single day, almost 10 plus times. And yeah, I had super dry ass mouth, but it's okay. That's why water exists. I even went as far as going to a mall in Burbank and just walking around pretending that I was on the phone and just saying my pitch out loud just so I could accustomize myself with speaking out loud in front of all these fucking people who can hear me, because even in public I still struggle with speaking on the phone out loud. But you know, I tried to conquer my fear of speaking out loud in front of strangers at a mall. And you know, there would be times I would just be like on the elevator or the escalator and I would just be like,
and then the aliens killed the monsters, and the monsters were just like
doing all this dumb shit, and I'm pretty sure people were either just like, wow, this bitch is fucking crazy, or they're just like, wow, this bitch is fucking imaginative. But the point of that is to not give a fuck about what people think about you and just do your best and do whatever it takes to present your idea clearly, because I was just like, who the fuck cares if my voice cracks? Everybody's voice cracks at some point. Who cares if I like stumble a bit sometimes, because I can still just easily pick yourself back up. Like, so what if you like accidentally miss a word or two? Just revisit it. Like, no one is there to just pick on you. As long as you make yourself clear, that's what matters. Sorry. This is not a public speaking lecture, but that is what I learned while I was practicing for my pitch at Cartoon Network. So of course, the day that I pitched my show idea, in which was based on a very old story that I used to draw a lot of during my times on the internet, it actually had a really great reception, because my pitch was about basically a fantasy sci-fi story that is actually based on the concept or idea of having Alzheimer's, because you know, people in my family were affected by that shit, and I wanted to transform that concept into an imaginative world with like these teen kids. And a lot of people from the studio ended up really liking it and just like relating to that idea. I was overwhelmed as fuck that day because it was my last day. It was the day that I was pitching, and there was just so much going on for me. So what I told myself was, hey Michelle, I recorded a video of myself too, saying this to myself. Hi Michelle, this is Michelle, the past Michelle speaking to the future Michelle. But girl, I'm gonna tell you, if you don't fucking do this pitch right, I'ma fucking kick your ass, and you ain't buying your Urban Outfitters shirt after work today if you don't fucking show those bitches who the bitch is. So whatever happens, you know you did your best, and once you finish your pitch, you can go out and have pho and Vietnamese iced coffee and buy whatever the fuck you want from Urban Outfitters as a gift for working hard. So I wanted to reward myself for my effort and not just like whether if it like went well or not. What I needed to get past was just the idea of doing shit like that. Like, I would never just so willingly go out and just be like, hey guys, look at my idea. That is not who I am deep down inside, but I knew I needed to just gain the ability to just do that no matter how good or bad the idea itself was. I just needed to be good at presenting, pitching, talking, putting myself out there, and that was step one, and I needed to reward myself just for getting through step one. And so should you if you are going through anything like this. Reward yourself for the journey. Don't reward yourself just when you like win or whatever. So yeah, but this is also not to say like reward yourself like for every single step of the way just to like overly spoil yourself, but you know what I'm saying. Just reward yourself for every time you know you got out of your comfort zone. But yeah, overall that was my internship experience at Cartoon Network, and things really just ended with me showing my colors. But I was like, oh god damn, why didn't I just do that during my whole internship? Why did I just wait for this one moment to be so open to people? So for my next internship, I was ready to be more open and being more ready to just talk to people and ask for advice openly without feeling too shy about it. So the next internship I got during my third year of CalArts was no other than the famous Walt Disney Animation Studios itself, you know, the studio that kind of like created my whole childhood. That was kind of crazy. I actually have a little funny story to go along with how I got this Disney internship. So originally I applied to be a story intern at Disney because that was one of the rare story internship opportunities I saw available, and it was at a studio that I highly admired. So I applied for it because that would be really great, but again, I had no expectations of getting it. I was just like applying to apply. If I don't get it, whatever, it's not the end of the world. Before I heard back from any studios, it was the end of the summer of my 3rd year, and I was like, shit, none of the internships got back to me, or I just got rejected from many of them as always. But one studio that is not Disney, which I will not say the name of this studio, by the way, because I actually have a lot of shit to say about them. I'm sorry, but I just like, I don't know what I'm risking right now, so just for now, I'm gonna keep this studio censored. Other studios outsource at this studio to get stuff from them. Many big studios come to this studio just for other supplemental things for their films. So I first got a freelance job at this studio, at this small studio in Hollywood, because I was not hearing back from any of my internships. And I needed to have some experiences, and I needed to have at least like a job to just support me during that summer. I also was not happy at that job I was at. Basically, anytime I would ask something from the people at the studio or like ask questions for clarification, nobody would ever get back to me. And whenever I wanted to ask a question about something that nobody answered back to, somebody would then like scold me or yell at me for just like not following what the rules are, I guess, when I even asked what it was, but no one even got back to me. So it just felt really disorganized being at the studio. I was not very happy. I was constantly being moved from place to place in these dark areas, and it was just like there was nobody my age. I was just kind of working with a lot of middle-aged white men that were not like, I could not be like friends with anyone, basically. I couldn't find anybody relatable for me to hang out with, and it was just like awkward for me to be there because I just felt like I actually did not belong. Like, compared to Cartoon Network, I felt like this place was just here for me to just support myself and just literally make money and not be there to love what I was doing. And that was when Walt Disney Animation got back to me and said, hey Michelle, sorry, but you didn't get the story internship position. And I was just like already at a point where I was just like, it's okay. I already kind of accepted that everybody rejected me at this point, but I was just still working at the studio. Then a few days later, Disney reached back to me again and was just like, oh hey Michelle, sorry about that previous email, but instead of a story internship, we actually have a 2D animation internship available for you because the mentors at Disney saw your films and they saw a lot of potential in your work, so they were wondering if you would be interested in doing a 2D animation internship. And of course I was like, hell the fuck yes, because first of all, I still love animation and I still love animating. Second of all,
get me the fuck out of this fucking studio in Hollywood.
So I have never been more excited to give a studio my 2 weeks because I just told those bitches like, hey guys, sorry, but you know, I got an internship at Disney and you know, I'm gonna kind of have to leave this place because you guys kind of treated me like shit and I just want to get the fuck out and work for a place that might probably treat me a lot better than y'all did. So peace out bitches, bye. I left and I started my internship at Walt Disney Animation Studios, and it was one of the best internships of my life. Actually, to be quite honest, it was the best internship of my life. So even though my internship at Disney was a 2D animation internship and I knew I ultimately wanted to do story intern, you can still ask the story mentors or the story artists for feedback. Like, I really wanted to just not be the same person I was at Cartoon Network. I really wanted to just be like, okay, I'm going to do all the things that I didn't do at Cartoon Network, which was just being more open to reaching out to people and taking the initiative to just ask people questions. I just emailed a lot of people and just asked like, hey, can I pick on your brain? Can I just know about your journey? And that's what I feel like a lot of people should do at their internships too, because now that I'm a full-time employee as a story artist at a studio, if someone asked to pick on my brain, I'd be like, please pick on my brain, because I feel like I have so much to just release after all that has happened in my life that at this point, people asking me about my life is a therapy session for me. So please ask to pick on my brain. Oops, whoa, I kind of just fucked up my horns. So ultimately, I would just say that the Disney internship was just an internship that just hit all the right spots. Like, I felt like I learned a lot in animation. I still asked people about storyboarding, so I learned more about how to build a better storyboard portfolio. And I also was able to form genuine relationships with the interns and other people, so that helped with the connection and networking side of my life. And I also felt like I was able to just learn about being a decent human there, because I was treated so kindly by everyone that I want to be just like them when I grow up too, and just be like, I want to be this person full of all this knowledge, but I'm not a fucking cocky asshole about it. I just feel like people there really know how to live their lives to the fullest, and that's what I really liked about being there. So towards the end of our internship, we just showed our films to the people at the studio. It's kind of like the Cartoon Network pitch, except now you have your teammates, which are the other interns, to do it with you.
Hello, this is future Michelle speaking, but in case if I did not clarify, what we basically did with the other interns was create a group film together with the assistance and guidance of the mentors we were assigned to, and you can look it up on YouTube. It's called Ventana.
And I felt like that was just one of the internships where I really felt the true meaning of why it matters to really love who you work with, because you'll just create something great with them because of it. And after we presented our films, we did a little celebration and we all went to Disneyland right afterwards. It was fucking amazing to be able to go to Disneyland all the time. It was just really sad to say goodbye to all the other interns I worked with, and they aren't even just my interns, they were my friends, and we were just all standing in this circle in like the parking lot of a restaurant for like 2 additional hours, just like being like, just standing there in circles, just being like, yeah, which one of us is gonna leave now? Like, one of us is gonna have to leave eventually. It was just a really great, solid 2 to 3 months of my life, and I will never forget it, even as someone who is now like a full-time employee. So yeah, I'm gonna stop marketing the Disney internship right now because they have a huge marketing team themselves, but I'm gonna get straight on now to the next internship. So the next internship I actually immediately got it right after my Disney internship, because the Disney internship helped my resume shine a bit to this internship, but it still was not a storyboarding internship. But I knew I just had to get more opportunities and just take advantage of opportunities while I still can. So I got a character art internship at DreamWorks/NBC Universal. And basically, as a character art intern, you just kind of produce artwork that helps supplement films. It's not like you're actually working on the film itself, so I didn't like touch any films. I was just helping with like creating poses for characters and just creating like things to help market films that already exist or eventually will exist at DreamWorks/NBC Universal. So I would say this internship I had the most hands-on with things that will actually be seen by people, even though it was not a film. Like, I was actually making things that will eventually see the light of day. But of course it was still not a storyboarding internship, but that was okay because, again, I wanted to stay open, and if I'm not going to get a storyboard internship, I might as well take advantage with what I do have and just work with what I got, you know? At this internship, I pretty much just went during school, so it was really interesting because basically I had to work out my schedule so that my Mondays and Tuesdays are free. So I basically went in Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, then Thursdays and Fridays I just go to my classes. So you kind of have to work it out with your school to get that stuff figured out. So basically I just would take the train from Valencia all the way to Burbank, and from Burbank I would Uber to DreamWorks, which is in Glendale, but it's closer to the Burbank Metrolink station, I guess. So I don't know, if you're at CalArts, like that's something you could do if you get an internship at DreamWorks. So I worked on the main DreamWorks campus, and that place is fucking beautiful, and they have free food, so I will never forget what it was like just to work there, because it was really fun to be there. But at the same time, I felt like I wasn't really growing in terms of being a storyboard artist. But still, I would say that at that internship is where I also formed some pretty good relationships, because after my whole Cartoon Network and after my whole Disney experience, now I feel more comfortable with being myself in the professional industry. I feel like I know better about like what to say to people and what not to say to people and how to reach out to people properly. And I feel like we all had similar goals, where although we were at this position in the character art field, we still wanted to eventually like spread our wings and fly into either feature or television and actually contribute to the feature or television shows themselves. I don't really have much to say about that internship other than it just helped me be really productive and I was just working. It was generally just really fun to be at DreamWorks because they know how to fucking party and throw festivals there. It really just helped me with the future too, because basically what happened before I was a storyboard artist at Glen Keane Productions / Netflix was I was actually also offered a storyboard revisionist job at DreamWorks TV, in which I had the help of the people at DreamWorks Feature with helping me find positions and just sending my work. That was one of the things that my internship helped me with, but at the same time I ended up rejecting that position because I wanted to go with Glen Keane Productions / Netflix. So although I did not go with that position, I am still really thankful for having the connections that I did at DreamWorks to help me with the revisionist position at DreamWorks TV if I really had nothing else going for me. But yeah, I also had my portfolio to go with it. Like, don't just think that just because you have connections, that's your only way in. Like, I still think you need a strong portfolio. People are gonna look at your work regardless. And I actually have a video about how I got my first job in animation in my video, so you can check that one out if you wanna know. But that is pretty much basically my whole internship journey / experiences. I guess most of the juice was from my Cartoon Network experience / Disney experience, and the DreamWorks one was just kind of like a very comfortable, like, yeah, I just did that while I went to school one. If you're applying to internships right now, just remember that not every internship exactly has to align with your end goal. Woo! That was a long video. Thanks y'all again for watching this video. I'll see y'all again in a future video. I'll see y'all later, bitches.